What's up YouTube, Mr. Lamacy here, and today we're gonna do a little Dear Blizzard discussion, and I would love to get your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section on this as well. But I have played the martial arts assassin up to level 95 on this current ladder season. I've had a lot of fun with her. I've had some frustrations with her. I have some decent gear now. I don't have my infinity yet. I imagine once I get that, this build will pop off even more and be even stronger. But even still so, it is definitely in the S tier category for me. It is a very strong build. I've been dominating players 8 everywhere. And I would just like to talk a little bit about my thoughts, fixes, whatever that I think could be introduced for this character. So let's go ahead and build up a little bit. And I can run around and show a couple pieces of just the character, what's frustrating, how things are going, everything like that. So what I do like is that I do decide different charges that I want to build depending on different places where I am, right? You know, I can say, oh, I want this right here, or I can say I want to build up, you know, I was hoping that was a burr and that would have been sick. I want to build up like fire charges as well, right? And then now I can have this fire. Now, what we're starting to, of course, as well run into here is the first issue, which is it kind of is a flashbang on the eyes a little bit. It really is quite bright and something that I think this just is the first problem with it. It's hard to see. It's hard to see what I'm doing. Individually, I think all the skills are quite beautiful. But all together, I can't even see my character in this mess. It gets so bright, it gets a little hard to see items behind the character as well. It's kind of got this Christmas tree look. And like I say, it's beautiful, but it's also not, because it is just flooding the screen. And when you get multiple of these together, the screen really gets flooded. And I think that is the #1 problem that I have with this. And if there's anything that they're going to change, my first thought or request would be, can we just tone down the brightness? I would say the biggest offenders are, oh, I gotta be careful with the dolls. PS1 or PS2 and Fist of Fire. Those guys together seem to be your biggest creators of this problem. So that's #1. #2 is the martial arts assassin being dependent on having 2 Mosaic claws. The fact that I cannot run any other claws for this, and also the fact that, yes I am, this is even like running just 1 claw feels terrible, because then you're still going to burn the charges out really fast. So it's like I have to run 2 of these, which is just super annoying. It just makes the character not feel great, and this build not viable until you get to 2 mosaics. #3, the problem here, and I'll do solutions afterwards, but the third problem here is charge management can be frustrating, especially during where I'm at right now. How about that timing? Bale waves, and during Diablo waiting for him, because between wave 3 and 4, if a Hydra drops down, I lose all of my charges, which means I now have to go and try and build all my charges up again. And if, you know, my character is strong enough that I can do it now and kind of tank it. But before this is true, that's just really annoying. Like, it's just so frustrating. And for somebody who doesn't play the game as fast as I do and doesn't can't read items as quickly and all that stuff, I think that also would be extremely frustrating, because it doesn't allow you any downtime. If you take a second to, you know, just do anything else, then your charges will expire. And so you're having to play this game of like running back to hit some random dude so I can run forward so I can keep my charges, and you're just constantly hustling to keep your charges up, which you know, makes the build a little more difficult, a little bit harder, all of that stuff. But I think for a casual player, it's going to be really, really frustrating for them. And even probably just, you know, like I say, you can't like spend a lot of time in town. You can't spend a lot of time doing anything because you want to keep your charges up. Otherwise, it feels bad. So those are my main 3 issues there with it. The 4th issue is next hit delay. Currently, next hit delay exists on Phoenix Strike 2, Phoenix Strike 3, Claws of Thunder 2, and Claws of Thunder 3. And since it's global, all of those are interacting and causing issues with each other, which is going to be nerfing the build in some capacity, and also just isn't a great feel to it, right? It's something that next hit delay overall should be fixed anyways, and they're all just interacting with each other, and it's just a big mess. So I think next hit delay should be fixed regardless. And the last issue is Dragon Tail is currently bugged. This is on the forums. And currently Dragon Tail is attacking faster client side than server side. This is a mod right here just to give you an example of when you like kick with the Dragon Tail into show, like now this character is stuck kicking client side there, or server side, even though client side it's kicking faster. This can cause a lot of glitches. A lot of people have been talking about these issues here. And so, yeah. So that just needs to be fixed. So those are martial arts issues. Now, my solutions for these entail the following. Number 1, adjust the brightness down some on some skills. Just a little bit, especially the 2 big offenders right there. And I think you could also potentially, some of the future suggestions I have, I think will help this. Number 2, for the mosaics right there, that you need 2 mosaics. I would say move this ability, 50% chance for finishing moves to not consume charges, off of mosaic. Either move it over into the skills. Somehow you're getting percent per point you have in there, or in claw mastery, or whatever, or just move it onto all claw bases somehow, whatever it is, so that any assassin has this capability. This means this build can now be played from the start and up, and you're not needing just dual mosaics, right? Because again, that's kind of anti-D2, that it's like you have to wait until you get 2 of this same rune word before you can play a martial arts assassin. So this, I think, would really be helpful and allow you more options as well, right? Maybe now you can run Plague rune word or something, which will give you the chance for lower resist, which could be really nice. You know, there's a lot of variety and stuff you could put in there that would be great. So I think that would be a buff to the character and be really nice. You could, and like I say, I don't have the exact solution here. Maybe it's 5% per point in claw mastery. So once you get to 20 points in claw mastery, you get a 100% chance for finishing moves to not consume charges. Maybe it's something else. The problem is, before you really get to like 100%, this just doesn't feel good. And so you literally just need 2 times mosaic for this to work. Yeah. But it also potentially opens up the idea for claw plus shield. So you can run claw shield, and then you can build and spend like that. And again, just more options for the character. I also think if you really want to keep it dual claw, then you could have it on just like the claw bases. But I think there could just be something of that nature. Number 3, changing mosaic. So mosaic still has a use. I would say change mosaic to be something like charges never expire. This would then be the selling point of mosaic. Any class, any claws you can build. You could build maybe 1 claw and have a, Phoenix shield, whatever you want, spirit, whatever. Or you could build your mosaics and have your charges never expire, or a single mosaic and have charges never expire, which now means you can go and sit and read and exist and not have to worry as much about constantly having to keep your charges on that upkeep. I think this would be a nice in-between piece, because something that I've noticed as I've gotten Enigma and gotten faster is I don't need exactly to have charges not expire as much, because I can run around, I can keep my charges up, I can teleport quickly to new spots, and I'm able to keep my charges up pretty well. But before I had Enigma, if I'd, run one way and get kind of caught, I'd start running the other way, just praying to find any monster, and it was really annoying. You're also having to constantly stop and just hit a random thing just to spend your charges, so you refresh the timer. And I think casual players would love this a lot more because it would just fit for them. They can stop, they can read items, they can sit in town, they can do whatever, and keep their charges up. Number 3.2, continuing on that, I would then say you should also potentially limit the number of charges that can be active at one time to maybe 2 to 3 charges as opposed to all 6 of them. I think this will not actually be a giant nerf when you consider everything that's really been brought together with the other pieces. If I can use Plague Runeward and things, that's buffing that damage up. If I don't, if I can swap on other claws, other shields, any of that stuff, I'm buffing up that damage. So now I have the ability to nerf in a different place, and this would be one that you could do it. I think this will also help with the flashbang of the character. So if I run around, I can run with Phoenix Strike and Claws of Thunder, or I can run with Fist of Fire and Blades of Ice, or, if it's at 3, I could run Phoenix Strike, Blades of Ice, and Cobra Strike. Whatever the combination is, I can run those combinations. And I think that would be really fun and give more strategy and variety as depending which areas you're going to. So if you're going to an area with, tons of light immunes, maybe you swap off the light. You go to Phoenix Strike 3, Fist of Fire, and Blades of Ice. If you're going somewhere that's really dangerous, you make sure you have your Cobra Strike and Blades of Ice up, and then you're running PS3 as well for really the good cold damage. If you're fighting bosses, you run PS1, maybe, Blades of Ice and Fist of Fire, or you run Cobra Strike, whatever. So having that combination, I think, would be really, really interesting and give you a little bit of that nerf the character down in some way, but it's still extremely strong. And then even when you run into specific bosses that are a certain immunity or something, you can just swap one of your charge types over and then swap back when you want, right? So I think that would be really fun and a good way to adjust the character down, but still keep it in that S tier capacity. Number 4, this is just fixing the Dragon Tail. You just have to make them the same speed. And again, I have this link right here with the speed issue. And he says he suspects the client side is ignoring the minus 30 EIS debuff that all sequence skills have, but server side is respecting it. So that's potentially the issue, but that would be something to just look into. And then next hit delay, number 5, I would say redesigning next hit delay to not be global, but instead a shared per missile skill function execution would be a much better fix. So that way I can run PS3 and, Claws of Thunder 3 and the Novas not affecting the Chaos Bolts, and at the same time, one Nova from one charge isn't affecting the Nova from the next charge, but rather it's, just having it within itself. So every time I kick, that just one charge has next hit delay within itself, but not from another charge. And again, this would be a way to buff the character, so that way when you do make a change, like there's only 3 of charges allowed at a time, or 2 charges allowed at a time, well, now those charges can be a little bit stronger. So that really, I would say, would be my biggest changes and requests for the character. I still love that the martial arts assassin is finally an S tier build, and just we have a different build than a Hammerden or Blizzard Source or Javzon, whatever. It's really cool. So I'm very thankful that they've gone ahead and made some cool changes and made a really fun build that is very different. But I do think there are some things that could be adjusted and fixed and improved for it. And I would say those are all the ways. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. But to the Blizzard devs, I say thank you for, you know, trying on it, doing some change, adjusting, and letting us have some fun with something new. And yeah, that's all I got for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, YouTube. Peace, everybody.